So what do you see as the next big thing for Scopely?
I think the amazing thing about Scopely is we are always super ambitious, and we always have our sights set on things that people will not expect from us. We have things in development that I'm personally super excited about, and I can't wait to share with the world. And I think it'll be types of games that the gaming industry is not expecting from Scopely.
So do you consider yourself a gamer?
For sure. Definitely very proud of having that tag. It's always been a deep part of who I am. I love that it's the intersection of technology, creativity, like all these things coming together and bringing people together. And I think we need more connection through games more than ever. And so I feel like we're at the forefront of that, and I'm excited for that.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Big Show presented by GamesBeat. I'm Rachel Kaser, news writer at GamesBeat, and I'm here with Eunice Lee of Scopely. Eunice, thank you so much for doing this show with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Welcome to GamesBeat Summit, which is where we're recording this episode. How are you enjoying it so far?
It's amazing. There's a lot of good energies happening here, good vibes.
If we're being real with you, this is actually the first time you and I have met. So I hope everybody at home will enjoy getting to know you a little bit with me. So maybe we can start with your backstory a little bit. So do you consider yourself a gamer?
For sure. I think that definition is super broad. So I hope a lot of people recognize themselves as a gamer, but I'm definitely very proud of having that tag. For me, it goes all the way back to childhood. I totally remember playing Duck Hunt on NES. That was pivotal family fun moment.
Did you put the zapper right up against the screen?
As close as I could get.
Yeah. I did the same. We all did that.
We all did that. But I also grew up in the advent of personal computers. Yes, personal computers, PCs. So I watched a lot of gaming over the shoulder of my older brother. He played a lot of Doom and a lot of Mech Warrior 2. Those are the ones that are like seared into my brain. Mm-hmm. I personally played a ton of King's Quest 2 on my parents' work computer at their office. So in the summer months when I'd be like helping them out, I'd also sneak in some King's Quest 2. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of really early memories around gaming. But what's funny is I was at college, UCLA, looking at the internship boards. I think that's what they're called. Anyway, I don't know what they're like nowadays, but it's on the internet. But I was looking for an internship, and I saw Activision listed. And what immediately came to my brain was the Mech Warrior 2 CD-ROM and the Activision logo on it. I was like, what? I can have an internship at Activision, like a gaming company? What is this? And so from there started my long career in gaming. And I've never looked back since. It's always been a deep part of who I am. I love that it's the intersection of technology, creativity, like all these things coming together and bringing people together, whether that's just being back in the day, less about online gameplay, but just being like, oh, are you playing whatever? I'm playing it. I love it. Mm-hmm. To now being in a place where there's actual interactivity and like playing with other folks. So it has a very special place in my heart. And I'm proud to be a gamer.
And can you tell me a little bit more about how, because it started in Activision.
Yeah.
So tell me how we got from Activision to Scopely.
So I was at Activision for just shy of 20 years, which is sort of insane. But when I joined Activision, it was kind of like a startup. And I worked in Europe for my first 6 years after I did my internship. And we were definitely in build mode. We were opening new offices and new locations. So I was just scrambling, learning, had no idea what I was doing, but trying my best. And I learned a lot about how to scale and how a company that evolves very quickly, how to keep up with that and help support, the business goals ultimately. So I think that set me up really perfectly for the opportunity at Scopely. I would say that there were 3 things that were really important to me when I was thinking about my next step after Activision. One was, can I go somewhere where I can have really broad impact? Because that's really important to me. Number 2, do I think that the CEOs, or in this case, CEO founders, really care about the journey and the people around them on their way to success and winning. We all want to win. I want to win, but I want to do it with the right people around me. And then thirdly, is it somewhere where I believe like we're creating these long-lasting live service games that really like bring people together. And just over 4.5 years later, I feel really blessed. Like the grass is not always greener, right? When you go somewhere else, but I'm like, wow, all three of those things came true. Like how amazing is that? So yeah, feel really blessed, and I feel like the opportunity really matched up to what I, had done prior.
So for those who are watching our video footage, you might notice that we have a little friend sitting between us. And this is my shiny Vaporeon. And I brought her along as a guest because specifically Scopely has become involved with Pokemon in the past year.
That's right. Yeah, we acquired Niantic Games, and what a joy to have that as part of our Scopely family. They're all about creating experiences in the game that get you to go outside and actually interact with other humans. Like, it's a pretty beautiful thing. And I have to say, Pokemon are generally already amazing in and of itself, but being able to kind of marry up Pokemon at Niantic's mission and our own, it was just like a great fit. And we're so excited to have, Pokemon GO and also games like Pikmin Bloom, Monster Hunter Now in our portfolio, which also are doing that same thing. They're having our communities get outside and interact in real life. And, having these events also around these properties are amazing. I don't know if you've been to any Pokemon GO events yet.
There's actually a Pokemon GO gym right outside my apartment where I live.
That's
so
amazing.
I've been included in some events just by virtue of proximity as well.
And that the community ambassadors for Pokemon GO are amazing. Like a few years ago, there was only like 200, call it, community ambassadors, and now we're like at thousands. And the number of events that they're putting on, it's like hundreds of thousands of events, from like hundreds to hundreds of thousands of events led by our community ambassadors. And that's just, it's the magic and power of that property, but also that game making, with that intentionality around it. And, you identify with her. She's beautiful. So, I love Snorlax personally.
Yeah, that was my next question would be, you have to tell me what your favorite Pokemon is.
Because I like to sleep. I like to eat.
It's completely understandable.
It all goes together. So,
and since we bring up Scopely as well and Pokemon GO, Niantic, the acquisition, during your time as Chief Operating Officer at Scopely, the company has grown by a significant amount. Like I can't even, what do you even quantify the number as?
Well, I think during the pandemic, they were around 500. The day I joined, we announced GSN Games acquisition. So that was like instantly overnight, another 400 employees, which, if you've been in a startup or a smaller company, every incremental 100, team members makes a huge difference. And fast forward to now, we're over 3,500, plus employees. And so that's in a pretty compact amount of time. So there's a lot of evolutions that have to happen alongside that. And, again, I think my past helped set me up for sort of rapid growth, and being able to scale systems and think about things like facilities and infrastructure, all the things that are probably a little less visible, but giving those leaders visibility to the rest of the executives to understand, what we have to do differently to kind of match that scale in a very rapid amount of time. And also when you're integrating teams quickly into Scopely, you want to make sure that they're really going to be a part of the culture, that they're going to vibe with that culture that we've really intentionally set. And so doing that really thoughtfully is super important to us too. And so we've done a lot of that in the last few years.
And when you say thoughtfully, like maybe you can tell me like what is the thought that goes into it as well?
Yeah, it's really, it starts with even, when you're doing due diligence and just having conversations with the potential acquisition, it's just talking to them about what are their inherent cultural values, how do they operate, to see if there's already a natural match. And with the example of Niantic Games, that was definitely there from, I think, pretty early on. We felt like, oh, we're symbiotic. There's something good here. And then how you carry that through into the process of actually like closing the acquisition and integrating, which sometimes there's heavier integrations, which could be, back-end systems, but really thinking about what are the needs of that team? How do we not disrupt whatever special magic sauce they have, which is why we were interested in them? How do you do it in a thoughtful way? Sometimes there's things that you have to do and they're not that fun, but can you communicate, over-communicate, make sure we've heard them out when we don't do something perfectly, get that feedback and understand it and acknowledge it and try to do it better. But there's a lot of work that goes into having teams become a part of Scopely. But at the same time, we want to really encourage them to be who they are, to continue to have that magic, that they already have. We're not here to impose something on them. So, I think it's important to identify from the get-go that there are some kind of, alignment in those values.
So what would you say are the challenges that you've overcome during your time at Scopely?
I never see things as really challenges, honestly. I know that sounds cheesy, but I always see it as opportunities and just trying to figure out how to both react quickly to what the business needs, the game teams need, at the same time being thoughtful about what are we setting up for scale in the future. So not just reacting all the time. I talk to all of the functions that I work with a lot about that balance of being able to create unique solutions for a game team, a business team that needs something specifically at a certain point in time, and balancing that with, we want to scale, so we need processes that fit across the business. There's a very fine line that you're always walking operationally when you're trying to meet the needs of many different game teams that have different goals. And so, that's hard. That can be hard because sometimes when you get to a certain scale, you kind of want to make everything the same process, but it doesn't really support ultimately the game making that we want to do and the live services that we're, operating out there. So that's one of the biggest things, is to always find that balance.
And can I ask about what are the trends that you see defining the future of the games industry, and what is defining Scopely's future in particular?
Yeah. I think we've always believed deeply, obviously, in live services and creating this, always having content for our players and our communities. But I think there's something that goes deeper than that, and it's creating these experiences for the communities. And, with games like Pokemon GO or Pikmin Bloom, it's also that intersection of bringing it into the real life and creating these amazing opportunities to connect with other players and share in that joy of that experience. I think Scopely is really sharp about that and really focused on it. And I think it's something that, everybody needs to pay attention to. And I think we need more connection through games more than ever. And so I feel like we're at the forefront of that, and I'm excited for that.
So what do you see as the next big thing for Scopely in the near future, and then maybe more aspirational in the far future?
I think the amazing thing about Scopely is we are always super ambitious, and we always have our sights set on things that people will not expect from us. I think Scopely for a long time was sort of a little bit of an underdog, and I think that we've been able to, showcase where our will and determination is. We can do amazing things and surprising things. And so, we have things in development that I'm personally super excited about, and I can't wait to share with the world. And I think it'll be types of games that the gaming industry is not expecting from Scopely. I can't talk about them deeply, I'm sorry, but
that's okay.
I am excited about them. And so I think you're going to continue to see things like that. We have the blessing to be really kind of both in the moment of how we're live operating our games, but at the same time have this long-term, vision and strategy, and the way we think about how we're going to invest in game teams or new projects that come to light or new teams that come to light or our own talent. We have the benefit of being really sort of long-term and thoughtful about that, which I don't think everybody's afforded in the industry. And having come from a, publicly listed company that has to post those quarterly results, that creates different behaviors internally. And so I think we are, really thinking about who do we want to be and continue to evolve. I think our cultural tenets are always going to be steadfast. And I think our leadership really exhibit those tenets. You know, they're not just words on a paper. I've definitely experienced the values on a piece of paper that like people just make fun of in the hallways. You know, I've been there. I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about.
They're painted directly on the wall. We walk past them every day.
You pass them every day, but don't really know if it means anything. But I feel like at Scopely, we really, I see the leaders exhibiting those behaviors, and you see it in the way that Walter and Javier show up at every all hands, the way they talk, the way that you see the reactions of our employees around the world to what they're talking about and how they're vulnerable in front of all of the employees. You know, this isn't like a few hundred employees in a startup now, right? It's a pretty global company with thousands of employees, and they talk about, they have real talk. And so I think that sets up an amazing sort of bright future for us. And they still have a lot of fire in the belly, which is also just something I'm inspired by.
I mean, from what you're saying, it sounds like the inspiration and of having a diverse and global team behind you as well.
It's absolutely 100%. I'm glad you bring that up, because I think we really do believe that in order to make these amazing experiences, to really connect our players together, that you have to have diversity of thought, diversity of background to bring that to the games and bring it to life. And that's something I'm personally incredibly passionate about. And I feel like Scopely has really given me a lot of support, and my teams a lot of support to really go after that and figure out ways and strategies to make a difference.
Well, why don't we wrap up with something fun? So, I mean, other than our Vaporeon here, and other than Pokemon. So can you tell me a little bit more about maybe the games that you're playing now, the games you like to play these days?
Well, I am playing a lot of casual and hybrid casual games, I have to say. Having come from like many hours of my life devoted to things like Destiny or every Call of Duty annually, and Warzone, it's sort of been like nice to kind of flip the script and play a lot of hybrid and casual games. We recently made an investment in Loom, based out in Turkey, in Istanbul. They make a game called Pixel Flow. And so I've been playing.
I love Pixel Flow.
Oh my gosh, right? And it's so cute. I just love the aesthetic of it. I love the unique gameplay that it brought into a genre that's kind of hard to have something new in. It's kind of very known what you're doing, you know, when you're matching or etc. So it was fresh and fun. And so I've been really enjoying that a lot. And some other games in that genre. Monopoly Go is always a fun one for me, especially when they have the different mini games and fun IP integrations. So, but yeah, there's a lot of games in that genre that I have to say I really enjoy.
By the way, I will just say, between you and me, y'all don't have to listen to this, but just between you and me, the one thing I found very admirable about Monopoly Go is they've managed to make a version of Monopoly that doesn't result in family war.
Oh my gosh, I know. But I have to say, like, you know, it's like when that game was being made, I can't say we because I wasn't making, but when that game was being made, the creators of that really were seeking to recreate those emotions you have when you do play with like family and you want to like kill your brother or whoever it is, your sibling, your cousin, but in a different way, reimagined, right? And still I know a lot of families that love playing that together. So, and we have some amazing stories from the community of how they play together to keep in touch across time zones. So I think they've done a remarkable job of bringing something, you know, that you kind of remember from your childhood to light, but in a very different way.
I feel like since I've asked you about your favorite Pokemon as well, I feel like I also need to ask you, like, do you have a favorite Monopoly piece?
Oh, it's definitely the race car.
Yes,
hands down. I'm a big car fan, racing fan.
It was always the top hat for me. Because I always thought I looked swish.
Oh, that's
so
fair.
It's like, I don't really want to wear a top hat. And also, it's just easy to pick up and move around.
That's true.
So when I was a little kid as well. But race car, I usually had cousins who would grab the race car before I could do it.
Yeah.
So congratulations on always getting the race car.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of The Big Show as presented by GamesBeat. Thank you so much, Eunice, for being part of this. And thank you to all of you who are listening to this now.